To get started, I guess I should introduce myself. Scott Ware with Tyson Foods, Senior Director of our channel marketing team. So we call omni-channel, but for us internally, that's convenience store, vending, non-commercial world that I work with. So we'll go ahead and jump into this. So if you think breakfast, I think a lot of people's minds would instantly go to a picture like this, right? Family around the table, smiles on their face, everyone eating together. If you're like my family, it's like this. But the reality, because of this situation right here, there is a truth and a reality of what is going on with breakfast today. And that is actually that more people are eating less at home and eating less of the traditional breakfast than a few years ago. But what's happening is more people are actually eating breakfast away from home. And so you see right over here, just on the chart, you can see the differences just from a few years ago of the change in that. And it's really driven by these things right here. We just showed busier lifestyles. Snacking has become a bigger part of our culture, right? Instead of 3 meals a day, you hear a lot of people eating 6 meals a day, 6 smaller meals. Breakfast, morning snack, lunch, afternoon snack, dinner, late night snack. And then if you're someone like me, you're just not hungry in the morning, you don't eat. But those are reasons that we see less breakfast being consumed at home. But like I said, we are seeing a trend of breakfast being consumed at a greater rate outside of the home. So QSR and those types of locations. So with that, I want to give an example of what I'm talking about here. So breakfast sandwiches, a category that's typically known for being consumed outside of home. If you look at this and just kind of read through that, 75% of all breakfast sandwiches are consumed between that 7 and 11 a.m. day part. But what I want to focus is on the flip side of that. A quarter of those consumption is occurring in those day parts and in the day outside of breakfast. So think about that. A quarter of all breakfast sandwiches are occurring outside of that window. And this is a category that last year, every meal occasion, so if you think about those 6 I just said, between the 3 snacks and the 3 meals we know a day, grew by double digits in breakfast sandwiches last year. And so you think about a category that continues, even though it's a small base here, we're continuing to see growth in that type of product that consumers are saying, I want more of that. We see examples of McDonald's, Taco Bell's done it, Sonic, Starbucks, right, offering these all-day breakfast offerings to fit that need that the consumers are saying, I want that. I'm too busy to eat it at home. I got to go out and grab something on my way. So what is it that you can offer me within that all-day breakfast? And I really like this sign at one of those stores that is offering the all-day breakfast. All-day breakfast available till 3. The reality is consumers are saying, I do want all-day breakfast even past 3. In fact, if you look at this, I want to show you some information here, and there's a lot here, so we'll just kind of dive into this each component at a time. But when I just said that after 3 p.m., the number one fastest growing meal occasion in the day from last year is actually afternoon snack. It actually had the strongest performance, the strongest growth of all those 6 I just mentioned between morning breakfast, morning snack, lunch, afternoon snack, dinner, late night snack. Afternoon snack got the growth. So I want to look at this right over here first. 46% saying enjoy eating breakfast at non-traditional times. So half of the consumers out there saying, hey, I do enjoy eating breakfast at different hours than that traditional 7 to 11, 7 to 10 a.m. time slot. And 30% of consumers are actually doing something about that and purchasing breakfast outside of that normal breakfast window. So if almost a third of consumers are saying, yeah, I'm actually, not only do I prefer to do that, but I am doing that in my purchase behavior. And if you go over here, I want to call out a couple things when you look at when do you enjoy eating breakfast foods? And real quick, just so if you can't see that, the yellow bar is 18 to 34-year-olds. The brown bar is 35 plus. I'm not going to ask which group any of you fall into, but when you look at this, obviously dinner's the biggest part of this, but a couple of things you'll notice. One, there's a big difference here between the 18 to 34, the millennial, versus the 35 plus, of when they want to, a lot less preferred at dinner, even though it's still the highest number. But where do they make up for that group? The afternoon snack And then obviously the late night snack, I think we all understand why that is, right? So, but that's some interesting insights there of who is our consumer, who are we targeting, and then when are they actually looking for that snack opportunity for them. And like I said, this right here had the strongest performance of all these day parts over last year from a consumption standpoint. Then when you look at the top foods, what are the preferred options? These are the types of foods that consumers say, hey, if I'm going to eat breakfast outside of the normal breakfast window, here's the type of foods I want to eat. Nothing I think that you would see on here is going to make you say, wow, I didn't know that, right? But what I do want to focus on is actually this bottom one right here, because I think this is going to actually be a trend that we see come into play at a faster rate over this next year or two, and that is lunch, dinner foods with breakfast. So let me give you examples of those right here. You've got Panera, who just launched. They just launched 3 new breakfast wraps. One of them is this chipotle chicken, egg and avocado and pepper wrap. So everyone knows, hey, a breakfast wrap is a familiar product within that day part. But what they've done is take a lunch and dinner style item that consumers would regularly assume for that lunch and dinner day part, and then have added in components and ingredients from breakfast to kind of bring a new item to that day in that part of the menu that can then be served throughout the day. And so a lot of new 2 other flavors just like that Panera did that fit that same mold. And then bowls, something that over the last couple of years have really seen a big increase within food service. And so Sonic now has a savory sausage and tots breakfast bowl. So again, playing on that lunch and dinner fare and what consumers understand with that, and then bringing in breakfast ingredients and forms to mesh those two together. And I think that trend is something we're going to continue to see in the food service space that has potential to think about, hey, in our channel here, how does that relate, and how do we bring in the right products to meet that need in that trend that will likely be coming. Another one I want to call out is just from a snacking perspective. So a couple things I wanted to mention on snacking. One is that NPD, industry data consultant, estimated that they're expecting snacking to increase 12% over the next 5 years. And so continue to see growth in this space. And specifically, I want to call it a couple things when we talk about snacking, because when you're talking about 50% of many meal eaters or snack eaters say that occasion replaced a traditional meal, that's something we have to take into account and think about what are the offerings that we have from a snacking perspective that can fit the need from a breakfast all day perspective. And so when you think about that, I want to call out a couple things here. One, portable options of the familiar favorites. So how do we deliver items that give us that familiar foods? If we go back a few slides and talk about the top items that consumers said they wanted to eat from, they were all familiar foods, but how do we make those more portable to the consumer? How do we deliver on this right here? And this, I think, goes right to that idea of more people are eating less traditional meals and more snacks, but if they're going to do that, they want to know that it's going to fill them up. It's going to sustain them throughout the day, right, or the next several hours until their next snack. And so more high protein, meatier, those types of options are things I think we need to be thinking about from a snacking perspective to deliver on that need to sustain them through the day. And then to go along with the heartier options, I think there is a component and a subset of the consumer base that we have to understand is looking for that better for you, lighter fare options. And so I gave an example right here. This is going gangbusters at Starbucks right now. I don't know, has anybody tried these right here? But this has been a big success for them, and it is their chicken chorizo and tortilla sous vide egg bites. So kind of fits a lot of this, each one of these, they're portable. Comes in these 2 small little containers, so very portable. It gives that high protein need that the consumer's looking for. And then it also has a better for you feel to it, right, as well. And so offerings like this, we're seeing a lot of growth within the food service channel, delivering on these needs from a snacking perspective. One of the last things I want to mention here is just from a marketing perspective. How do we market and message what we're trying to do from a vending or a micro market unintended market perspective, and what can we do more to win from that perspective. A couple things I want to highlight here. One thing we can do is positioning breakfast as a mid-morning snack destination. So how are you communicating? What is the messaging? What is the POS? What is the marketing materials you have around your space to communicate this is a great spot for a mid-morning snack or an afternoon snack location delivering on this breakfast all day long trend? Here's a couple examples we see in the marketplace right now, but are we leveraging our marketing space in the location we have to communicate this is a great place for a mid-morning or afternoon snack that delivers on that breakfast need? Another one is promoting to-go snacks for later. And along with that, going into this bottom one of cross-promoting. So, hey, eat now, eat later promotions. Hey, if you buy this item for a breakfast snack, also with that, you get this snack and you get a discounted price on those, right? And finding ways to increase the check average through and increase the rings and the transaction average as we're going through. These are a couple ways that we feel can be very successful as consumers are saying, hey, I'm thinking about my snacking and I'm thinking ahead about that. If we can deliver messaging and opportunities for them to try new things while they're there, that's a big win for us as we look at our consumer base. And so lastly, to wrap up, kind of some of the key points there that we just talked about. But again, as consumers are busier than ever, as more people are on the go, less people are eating breakfast at home, but we know they're eating more on the go. How do we deliver and find ways to win with those consumers? So a couple of things here. One, I think that trend of blending breakfast and lunch and dinner fare together, those ingredients, maybe it's the ingredients of one but the form of the other, and bringing those together in ways that will deliver a new experience for the consumer is something we're going to continue to see happening, something we want to be in the watch out for. Offering breakfast items that are in snacking form, that are portable, but give the high protein content that the consumers are saying, hey, I want something that's going to sustain me throughout the day. And then lastly, how are we marketing the space into the consumer base that we have that goes in front of our destination each day? How are we promoting our products? Are we promoting our products? Are we running cross promotions with the products that we have in our vending machines, in our unintended markets to drive the business around, again, geared around this breakfast all day trend that is occurring in the marketplace today?